Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to the 9th episode of our Captain's Logs, which chronicles the progress of the Starship Enterprises Corporation and details orders that Commanders can follow to help as our story unfolds. Well, Commanders, it looks like the people have spoken. Influence is at an all-time high, and SE Corp finally pushes over that 60% mark. Dr. Lewis Chapman has now started a focus group to deal with the new task his corporation seems to have ahead of them. That task is expansion. So, in this video, I'm going to have a discussion on expansion, the mechanics behind it, the best things to do for it, and why it is going to be such a difficult task for our group. Expansion is a mechanic of the background simulation, and it affects factions once they have gained sufficient influence on their system's chart. The usual number for expansion is 75%, but sometimes a faction can expand with a little bit more or a little bit less influence. Like most other BGS states, the expansion will not immediately occur, but will first enter a pending state, which can last up to a few days. During this pending state, and continuing into the actual expansion, the influence for the faction that's trying to expand will try and tick back down by about 10% on the influence chart. You can imagine that this is the faction gearing up for their big move. It takes a lot of effort to expand, and you can actually fail the expansion if you let the influence tick back down too much. The aim during this part of the expansion is to keep the influence at 75% or higher. Eventually, if the influence has been maintained for long enough and at a high enough level, then the expansion will succeed, and the minor faction will make the jump into another system. They still remain in the system they started in, but they will also gain their faction onto the influence list of another nearby system. The system that the faction will jump to will most likely be the closest system with the least number of minor factions already present in it. For us, this will probably be the Ponta system, which is 12 light years away and has 4 resident factions in it. Pontus is a pretty cool system. It has 2 stations, one of which is a large military base featuring a good track to race SRVs around. Yay! So, what can be done to help push us up to the 75% mark? Well, top of the list is handing in exploration data. This will really help mitigate that downwards tick of the influence chart, and it's especially important towards the end of the expansion effort. Handing in about 10 mil of cartographer data each day is ideal, and it is important to hand in the data one system at a time, as this will really help boost the influence. Second task is good old trading. This is something I've been doing myself recently, so I can attest that the park is probably the best place to operate from. Even though Earth's inheritance is a little further out than the inner system stations, it has a much higher chance of spawning source goods quests. These quests can be picked up in bulk and completed in one run and are great for the influence. The park will often send pilots to high-tech and refinery systems, and these are excellent places to purchase various other profit commodities outside of the quests. The last task is being a bus driver, and I'm not going to go into the details of being a bus driver as we covered it in the last Captain's Log video, so I will just post a link to that around about now. Okay, so now we know what we need to do and how we need to do it, but why is it going to be so difficult? Well, the influence in the system is governed by a few things, but top of this is population. The bigger a system's population is, then the more work must be done to change the influence of any of its factions. Our system is massive. Really, really massive. And we need to do lots of work to get any traction at all on the influence chart. Another important factor for a faction's influence is how much of that influence they already own. The bigger a percentage on the chart, the more work must be done to make that percentage go up even more. Add in the fact that the influence chart will try to naturally tick back down once the expansion is pending, and it all adds up to an awful lot of hard work. Because of this, we're asking literally everyone we know and everyone we've ever done a favour for in the past to help us. We have sent out requests for help to a number of neighbouring player groups that we have ties with, letting them know of our situation and asking for aid. Fingers crossed we can all pull together and make this titanic expansion succeed. It really is all hands on deck, guys. If there was ever a time to commit yourselves to a bit of hardcore grinding on Elite, then now is that time. I am personally very excited about the prospects of expanding Starship Enterprises. It's something that we've been patiently working towards since our group's conception, and there are a bunch of players that have been working diligently and tirelessly towards this end. I want to say thank you to these players. Thank you. Starship Enterprises could not have got this far without you, but the work is not quite over yet. Very much hope to see you all out in those space lanes, grinding that influence and helping us perform this expansion. Good luck and keep in touch. For now, that is me. Over and out.